So making use of percussion instruments is a great way to give voice to those that don't feel comfortable singing, or for those that may not be able to vocalize, and it gives them a way to participate in musical activities. If you're thinking of purchasing percussion instruments, there are a few things to consider. Firstly, you want to think about the breadth of percussion instruments, so from wood to metal to shakers of sorts, and thinking of the abilities or limitations of your participants. Because there are certain percussion instruments they won't be able to hear if you have hearing issues, and there also may be certain instruments that will be difficult to see. So that's something to consider, as well as tactile. So when you go to purchase them, think of what they feel like, because a lot of people will be drawn to different shapes and sizes, also thinking of the ability, so if it's particularly heavy, it may be limiting. So those are a few things to consider when purchasing percussion instruments. So a straightforward way of starting or jumping in is taking the call and response idea. So electing a leader, it could be yourself, it could be our participant, to start with some sort of rhythm that they start with, something as straightforward as clapping, and then asking everyone to respond to that by repeating it. It's a great way to empower different people and suddenly see that they suddenly have, ooh, I've got so much power holding these two little maracas. The second thing is to play with dynamics and texture. So dynamics are louds and quiets, and texture is thinking about short or long notes, or playing with things in the room, so not necessarily hitting two instruments together, but hitting it off of a wheelchair or a chair, those kind of things. So that can be simply asking the group to make quiet sounds to a steady pulse. It doesn't even have to be to a steady pulse, it could just be, say, let's try to make as quiet a sound as possible. And then obviously gauging that all the way up to loud. Using hand gestures is a great way, once again, going quietly and then going loudly. The next thing you can play with is short and long notes. Obviously, for people that have things like claves will only be able to make short notes, but you could ask them to kind of continue to hit an instrument to create a sound. So lastly, if you're feeling super adventurous, we'll try or play with the idea of creating a conversation. So asking someone, or you could, depending on the size of the group, if you have a small group, you could actually get them to do it in pairs, or have someone start something and ask them to convey what they want to ask a question. It could be saying, I want a cup of tea, but ask them to put it into the percussion instruments. And it could lead to all sorts of fun things, where seeing where people respond to that. So taking a sentence or an idea and putting it into an instrument and playing with it and see if you can create a conversation.